What's up YouTube and welcome to another build video by Mr. Proco the Gamer. After my last video, I got a lot of reviews, I got a lot of comments, the positive and the negatives, which I really appreciate. So I decided that I was going to put out another video for you guys so you can see what I've been playing with since the Guardian event started. I don't want to waste too much time on this video, so I'm just going to get right into it so we don't have to make this video too lengthy because the last video was like 60 minutes. I hope this one doesn't get too long, but I'll try to speed things up for you guys so you guys can get the whole vibe. So right now we're gonna start with the specialization, and we are using the firewall specialization on this build because our shield is very vital for this build. The firewall striker shield is very vital for this shield. So I'm gonna read out what the specialization of the firewall does so you guys can get the vibe. These are some of the things that I really like about the firewall specialization. I don't know what you guys decided to pick, but for me, first of all, is the armor kit. Every time you take an armor kit, it recovers 200% of your armor and heals 200% of your health over 10 seconds. This is very good for PvP because while you're taking damage, your health is still going to recover for the next 10 seconds, which is good to get out of count to get into combat. Or with this build is not for PvP though. So you get 30% health on kill, you get 20% plus 20% bond duration, and then you also get the cluster grenade. I swear to God, I know in my last video I said the gunner specialization was the best specialization because you get all of those perks plus the riot grenade, which is very good for those tanks. But the cluster grenade is very good for every situation because it spreads. You throw it to one position and it spreads around the room, spreads around the enemies within a certain proximity. So that came in handy on the gameplay. I have gameplay on this build on Instagram and TikTok already. So you guys can check it out to see how the build works because I know I got comments of people asking me that they want to see gameplay of the build. So I decided that I was gonna put out highlights of my gameplays on my Instagram and TikTok as well. So one of the things that I really like about the specialization for this build is the shield, which I unlock. The striker shield is a modified version of the cluster crusader of the crusader shield, allowing the K8 Jetstream flamethrower signature weapon to be used while equipped. So basically, every time you can use the flamethrower on the striker shield. So I like this shield because it allows you to equip your primary, your secondary weapon, your side arm, and also your specialization weapon, which is the K8 Jetstream. So, and also killing enemies within 10 meters adds 3 to the armor bar, excluding the specialization weapon. Killing them, this is the first tier and second tier. This is a passive talent. So, I think the first one you get 1, and then when you get to the max, you get 3. And you get 40% increase in signature weapon damage, and the signature weapon scales with this increase is in addition to that scaling. So and then I rolled in the 15% into the assault rifle damage, which you get from every specialization. If I was using the SMG, I'd have put it here. So this thing doesn't switch when you change your build. So you have to literally come in here to make sure that you have the right points in the right weapons. And I was able to unlock the lightweight shot grip for the underbarrels on my shotgun, which made my shotgun even better. So, and then you get 30% bonus armor during cover to cover moves. This was very good because once you get into that room, you want to make sure that you are in the position to take down the guardian before the rest of the enemies in the room. So cover to cover was very vital for this gameplay. Although I like to run a gun, but with this very gameplay, I find cover to cover very vital for me. So and then my allies deal 10 plus 10% damage to enemies that are within 10 meters of myself. And on armor break, I apply bond to enemies within 5 meters. This really came in handy when I was playing solo because there were times where I lost everything, even though I had so much resistance, I had so much regen. There were times where my armor was totally out, and then the enemies around me started burning like they were just running away from me, screaming the hell out of their life. It was really cool to watch. So I rode in. I was able to also unlock the fire starter, which is like a boom shotgun. This is a fire starter and a showstopper at the same time. So I have the assault rifle loading and my shotgun loading. So that's it for the specialization. The most important thing about the specialization for this build was the striker shield, which I'm gonna get into the build right now. So I keep asking myself, why was everyone and myself sleeping on? Okay, I think I have the custom M870 on this build. I have this weapon is a killer. So this is the build. It's very simple. I know a lot of core players wouldn't appreciate playing with this build, but new players who don't have exotics like the mask or the backpacks, all of those things that you need to stay ahead of the game, but this build will definitely get you through content. If you want to see the highlights of the build while I was playing with my team and also playing solo, just check out my TikTok and check out my Instagram, and you're gonna see highlights of this build. So this is the very build that I'm telling you about. This is the Foundry Bulwark, Unstoppable Force, and Vanguard, because all of this talent and the pieces they kind of work together to make this build like really stand out and shine. And then with the Guardian, where you have so many enemies you're shooting, some of them are defensive, some of them are not defensive. You get to stack a lot of talents on this chameleon weapon, which I enjoyed. I was having so much fun playing with this build. I decided that I wasn't gonna let the community leave out the community on the way I felt, and so I'm here to give you as it is. So we already spoke about the jet stream flamethrower, which we unlock from the firewall specialization. This this weapon is a killer. I swear. You can basically run into five, six enemies at the same time, and you just spawning them and doing some burn damage on the enemies, and they're just running head to scatter, like looking for a way to hide or looking for some way to recover or heal. It was really vital. I like this. I like the firewall specialization. In my if when it comes to preference, best for me is the gunner, and second is the firewall specialization. So this build is very simple. We have four-piece foundry, the Walker Harris backpack, and the Fenris chest piece. So I know everyone knows about the foundry and how it works. So, but before we get into the pieces, I want to talk about the weapon. I swear to God, when I started using this weapon on this build, I also did ask myself, like, what? Why is everyone sleeping on this weapon? And why is this weapon not shining? Because the weapon, I don't know if it's just for the event or just this build, but this weapon is an absolute killer. And the talent is very, for a game like Division 2 where you're constantly shooting enemies and running into combat, this is the kind of weapon you want to have on you for this type of build, because the talent itself is an absolute. Mwah. So on mine, I have the assault rifle damage. The weapon is still sitting at 76k, which is not a lot of high damage. But I know once I get this weapon to a very good expertise level, you should get up to like 90 or 100k if does the red cores on the build. Because this is a blue. a build with all blue, almost like four blues and two red. So I couldn't capitalize on the base weapon damage to get the weapon damage up. So and then the weapon has 900 RPM, which is very high for an assault rifle. Um, Centemo has 850. You and the Centemo is a killer, but this weapon was doing the most. And the only difference here is that the Centemo has a 70 mag, but this weapon has a 50 mag. So I was able to reroll damage to target out of cover, and I have an optimized health and also try for damage. So let's talk about the specialization, the adaptive instinct, which says hitting 30 headshots grants you 20% critical hit chance plus and plus 50% critical hit damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 75 body shots grants you plus 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 30 leg shots grants 1 plus 150% reload speed for 45 seconds. This buff refreshes when you are out of combat. And on the mods, we have the chameleon optics, which gives you plus 50% critical hit chance. And we have the chameleon magazine slots, which gives you plus 20 rounds. And we have the chameleon dampener, which gives you plus 20% accuracy, and the underbarrel slot for the chameleon grip, which gives you 10% stability. So this weapon is an absolute killer. Trust me, I enjoyed it. I had fun playing with it. I'm sure a lot of people can try different variations. Depends on the weapon you really enjoy playing with, but I would really like to see a lot of people play with the chameleon because this weapon has been slept on for too long. So I have the custom M870 MCS, which gives me shotgun damage, damage to ammo, and damage to target out of cover. The base damage of 1.2, RPM of 75 with a max size of 5. This weapon was everything to me in close combat, because killing an enemy within 7 meters on the talent, close and personal, will give me an increase in weapon damage that's plus 30%. That was really good. And we had the critical hit chance mod plus 5%. We have the plus 20% reload speed mod. And the underbarrel mod is empty. I think I would have the grip that we unlock from the firewall specialization, which gives us an extra plus 10% critical hit damage. So this is the custom M870 MCS. Very good shotgun that one that you should have in your inventory. And let's talk about the pieces on the build. We have the Foundry Bulwark. So 2 piece gives us plus 10% total armor. 3 piece gives us plus 1% armor regen. And we also get plus 50% shield health. Yo, that's a lot for the firewall shield and the special mods that you unlock from the firewall shield. You are absolutely unstoppable. This build is unstoppable not because of the talent on the backpack, but because of how far you can go, like how strong it gets and how defensive you are, plus all of the damage you stack on the chameleon. So it's really unstoppable. You are unstoppable even before the unstoppable on the backpack comes alive. So we have on the core attributes we have 170k on the armor maxed, and we have critical hit damage and critical hit chance mod on the mask. So the talent of this Foundry Bulwark is called the makeshift repairs. So whenever you or your shield take damage, you get 25% of that amount repaired to both you and your shield for 10 seconds. So imagine all of the special mods that you have unlocked with the firewall specialization, and then you have 50% plus 50% shield health, and then this build is sitting on 4 blue cores. So I just trying to get you to understand how strong the shield gets with this build, because you have armor regen, you have makeshift repairs, and you have the plus 50% shield health, plus all the special mods that you unlock from the specialization of the firewall. So that was really handy. In fact, the shield was doing two jobs in this very build. The shield was not only a defensive mechanism, it was also a damage buff. Because you all know what the we're gonna get to the talent of the firewall shield. So we have a mask, which is also a foundry bulwark, and we have a critical hit damage, critical hit chance mod, core attributes armor, and attributes critical hit damage. Then we have the gloves, also the foundry with armor and critical hit damage. Excuse me. Then we also have the armor and critical hit damage on the knee pads, and we have um we have armor and critical hit damage on the holster. So on the backpack, we have weapon damage as the core attributes. I'm gonna get that to the max, but for now, that's all we have. And we have critical hit damage on the attributes, armor regen, and then on the mod we have critical hit chance. So this bag, Walker Harris gives us plus 5% weapon damage because we only have one piece. Two-piece gives you damage to armor, and three-piece gives you damage to health. This Wakaris, you can never go wrong with Wakaris. Because if you're looking for damage, you got it all in one pack. We also have the Fenris chest piece, which is gonna give us plus 10% on the assault rifle damage. We have weapon damage, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage on the attributes, and then critical hit chance mod. The talent on the chest piece is called Vanguard. I'm sorry guys that I did forget to talk about this. This is also another buff on the shield. So deploying a shield makes it invulnerable for 5 seconds and grants you 45% of your armor as bonus armor to all other allies for 20 seconds. The cooldown is 25 seconds. So every time you pop your shield, your allies are getting bonus armor. You are invulnerable for 5 seconds. Plus the mods you have on the shield, plus the makeshift repairs. Like, this build is definitely unstoppable. Like, I was unstoppable. I had no fear. I was so confident when I was playing with this build. And I'm sure you guys are gonna feel the same way too. So we are getting so much buff from the shield, but the shield is the star of the show because the shield is not only a defense mechanism, it's also a damage buff, and we're gonna get to that when we read the talent of the shield. So we have the Fenris chest piece, which gives us an extra 10% on the assault rifle damage. So we're getting that plus 10% assault rifle damage from the chest piece. I'm also getting 5% weapon damage on the backpack. So that was an additional buff on the weapon, which made everything to just work really well. So, and I tried two drones on this build. I tried the Defender drone, but the Striker drone for this event really did work well because there were times where Striker drone was just taking down the Guardians by itself. So the Striker drone was even some for some reason I was getting so much bonus armor from the kills. I was getting like, no, this the striker drone is definitely came in handy for this build because it kept the enemies busy. So I was my unstoppable force or unstoppable idea came to life because the drone was like a third hand in like doing damage on the enemies. So that is the build. It's a very simple build that you don't need to, it's not going to be very difficult for you all to get the pieces of this build. And before we forget, let's not forget to talk about, like I forgot to talk about the fire starter, which is our side ham. We didn't really use it in a lot of combat situation, but I had to put it there because I was able to unlock it from the firewall specialization. So this weapon has 1.1 million on the base damage, and shotgun damage was 11.6. Is 11.6. The attributes is the health damage, 7.5%. And then you also get talent the primer round. Damaged enemies lose 50% on resistance for 5 seconds. So that was good. So every time you damage an enemy with this weapon, they lose 50% burn resistance for 5 seconds. So and you have the firewall jet stream. So if you want to take down the boss, you can just bring out your side ham and do like 2 shots on the boss, and then you pop your flamethrower and burn him down. So that was really that's how you can play this. You can play it on this build, but I didn't really use it in combat situations. So like I said, I didn't want to get this video to be too long, so I'm gonna leave it as it is. But this is the Unstoppable Force build that I put together with the Foundry Bulwark and the 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 Foundry Bulwark and the Walker Harris. And Unstoppable Force, which is very vital for this build, was the killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 5% for 15 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. So that was modified into this backpack, which was an absolute stunner, an absolute killer. The reason I have ammo region on this backpack was because I also tried to use vigilance on the build, but at the end of the day, Unstoppable Force was everything the build needed to work. So that's it, guys, for the build. I know I said this video wasn't gonna get too long, but apparently I can see on the record screen that is even longer than the last video I made. But I just wanted to make sure that everything about this build was fully and completely explained so new players can get a hold of it. So thank you guys for staying tuned. I hope to get your reviews. I hope to see comments, be it positive or negative, of this build. I'll be waiting to hear from you guys, and I hope you guys will try to play with this build and let me know how you feel about it. I remain your favorite host, Mr. Proko the Gamer, and I stream on Twitch every day at www.twitch.tv/Mr. Proko the Gamer. So I want to see you on my channel. Just follow me and tell me you came from YouTube. I appreciate you all.